ladies and gentlemen, Stuart Goldsmith. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wonderful to be here. All right. I'll tell you a bit about myself to get us acquainted. I think of myself as a self-made man. That's my thing, right? By that I mean I left home at 18 with nothing but the shirt on my back and every conceivable privilege. Still got them. White, male, middle class, and if they invent any more, I dare say I shall have them too. Oh, that's great. I'm very lucky. I own a house. You can't... Thank you. Yeah, it's hard saying that to people in their 20s. You can watch their dreams die in real time. That's not fair. I say I own a house. My wife owns a house. I own a wife. So that's good. Lived in London, the sprawling metropolis that is London, for the last 15 years. And then 5 years ago, I moved to the hipster capital of Britain, Bristol, as the result of losing an argument about starting a family. I left the city I love to be with the woman I like. And she hates that joke, and she's absolutely right to. We now live in Bristol, up a hill, in a creative community full of wankers. It's not a gated community. It is quite a steep hill. And everyone, if you like that, you're going to enjoy the rest of the show. This is going to be fun. Just relax. Everyone, when I say it's creative, it's like everyone on our street has an arty job, right? So we've got comedian, we've got a DJ, a videographer, a dancer, a musician, and one architect to give the rest of us a sense of perspective. Like, sure you're artistic, but if you tried. And I've got to tell you, the area is gentrifying really nicely in a way that I am absolutely responsible for. When I first moved there, brunch on a Sunday was £8. Now it's £13.50. You're welcome. That's me. I did that. And if anything, it's too comfortable. It's a really comfortable place to live. So I'll give you an example. We take the children, local kids, we take them on... my own children. I've said local kids there as if we're some sort of Pied Piper couple. And we're like, come, children, let's go on a walk. No, not at all. We have two fabulous children, lovely, lovely little boy, and the girl one's good too. And we... I've known him longer. We go on walks and we go to the forest, right? The forest is technically a cemetery, but there's no point getting into that at this stage. And what we've noticed is such is the nature of our groovy, creative community that someone from the community has been sneaking into the forest and nailing lots of little 4-inch high doors to the bases of the tree trunks. Have you seen anything like this? Little fairy doors, right? You've seen them. So it's all twee and it's all sweet and the children come along and have an important cultural experience and go, oh, this must be where the fairies live. Not my son. My son's like, well, they're out, but there we are. And that's why they do it. But the problem is, we're such a bunch of wankers that all of the couples have gone home and go, have you seen it? Have you seen the forest? I can't whittle. I can't carve. How will we contribute? And so what they've done is everyone's gone back and added little embellishments. They've put little accoutrement in the... That's a fun word, isn't it? Accoutrement. They've put like a little rocking chair in the front garden. Someone's cut up a doormat into inch squares and put little fairy doormats for the fairies to wipe their little booties on. Someone's got a lolly stick and 2 bits of string and made a little swing on a nearby branch. It's twee as hell, and it's my duty to disrupt it. So what I've done is I went to a doll's house furniture shop and bought a load of white goods, like fridge freezers, microwave ovens, and I just left them outside in the fairies' front gardens to rust. Get a scale electric car, set fire to it, leave it smoking on its edge outside. Bring the area into disrepute, some miniature police tape here, some tiny crack pipes there. And what I did last night, I snuck in, I put a tiny white tent in one of the front gardens. Yeah, so it looks like there's been a murder. Take my son through it earlier today. Yeah, I think the cat got him. Ooh, nasty. It's not true, of course. I haven't done that. What I've done is I've decided to take it far too far in the opposite direction. So what I've done is I got on Etsy.com and I bought a job lot of about 200 of these fairy doors. And night after night, I've been sneaking in, adding more and more fairy doors, right? More doors, everywhere you can, every inch plastered with doors, up trees, up branches, doors, 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 until the area is completely oversubscribed, right? Doors everywhere. And so many doors, eventually the fairies, they're going to need somewhere to get their coffee, aren't they? So a little artisanal coffee coffee shop there, maybe a vegan upholsterer's over here. Doors, 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 doors. And then at the very end, what I'm going to do tomorrow is sneak in with an armful of tiny little estate agent signs, start sticking them everywhere, as all of the local fairies are priced out of the area by these fluttering, iridescent wankers from London. That's the plan. That's the plan. I recently achieved the dream of every middle-class person. I had a bit of work done on the house. Had a new kitchen put in. I stress, we're not wealthy, but we came into some money on the death of an elderly relative upon which I had bet heavily. Come on, Uncle Oscar, Daddy needs a kitchen island. So we got this work done, and I don't know if there are any men in the audience who are man enough to admit that when you meet a proper man, you go a bit funny, right? Like if you see, walking down the street, if you see a guy who's like wearing overalls, he's got paint all over them, and you see him and you go, there goes a proper man, and you go a bit limp, you know, oh, he's proper. All it really means, of course, is that he's not that good at painting. And what happens, and I don't want to do this happens despite my best endeavours, I open the door to them and I do a bit of a voice, right? I don't know what it is. These guys turn up, I'm like, all right, let's wait. Like, where is that coming from? What is that? I'm going, all right, a cup of tea, cheeky Stella, all right, lovely. I think on some level I'm trying to sort of leverage a friendship with them in order to create the possibility of the discount for cash. Don't know if anyone's ever pulled that off. All right, lads, cup of tea, discount for cash. What that is, I'll give you the cash, you knock the VAT off, everybody's laughing, apart from obviously the schools and the hospitals. Anyway, and they must know. They must know, right? When I turn up like this, they must go round the corner and go, he's rather patronising, isn't he? Yes, he is. He is condescending to us, talking down to us, isn't he? Yes, yes, he's trying rather hard. That's what she said, careful. And we tried to do the whole job in a week, right? They wanted to get it done in a week. So at one point, they were all in the living room. Now, our living room is underneath our kitchen with this little squeezy house on a hill. And all 5 of them were downstairs in the living room having a chat, right? So there was a Chippy, a Sparky. You've got another lingo. There was whatever the fuck a plumber is. Cheeky Dolphin. I don't know. Splash Harry. And a bender? That's unlikely, I think. And a gaffer and a spaffer, which is my word for a plasterer. I've made that up myself. You're welcome. Spaff, spaff, spaff. It's harder than it looks. So all 5 of them were in there, and I went in to offer them a coffee, right? And I panicked, because I didn't know how to address them together. And I walked in, and I went, all right, men. I don't know why I said that. I think I was going to go for lads, and then I bailed out halfway through the sentence. I turned up, men, as if I'm the brigadier at the back of the battlefield on a white horse. And I'm expecting you, obviously, to die tomorrow in your hundreds of thousands. But for now, can I offer you a coffee? So they all said yes. So 2 minutes later, I'm standing upstairs in the kitchen, at the worktop, in front of a coffee pod machine I already feel bloody guilty about. And I've got 5 pods on the worktop in front of me, thinking, am I really going to chuck 5 pods at these bastards, right? What if they want another coffee later on? They're here all week. This is going to bankrupt me, right? I'm going to have to kill another relative. They're not the usual pods, is my point. They're from a special collection called simply Regime. And so I've got the 5, I scoot them up, I've got 5 pods in one hand, I've got a jar of dirty instant coffee in the other hand, and I'm looking from one to the other, trying to make my mind up. When I look up, and one of the builders is standing on a ladder looking in through the kitchen window. There is no other thought I could possibly have been contemplating. I ended up having to do a sort of extended improvised act out to my wife, who was not in the building, saying to her out loud, oh, all right, darling, what have you done there? What are you doing getting this instant muck? Nothing but the best for my boys. Sorry, I'm sorry. I just hate being caught out being my real self. So, but someone who is unencumbered with that is my son. He's a lovely boy, right? He's cerebral, he's sweet, a very early talker. His first word was mama. Of course it was. His mum had been training him from birth to say the word mama in order to win an argument I didn't know we were having. Right. To be fair to her, I had been coaching him in secret the entire time to say the word pathetic. Because I thought that'd be quite funny. Like, how good would that be if the first thing he ever said was when she went, mama. 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 And he looked up and went, pathetic. I thought she'd get a laugh out of that. And he's a lovely guy. He's called, his name is Boutros, and it's not really called Boutros, but thank you, the 80% of you who didn't laugh just in case. I call him Boutros when I'm on stage in order to anonymise him, and because when he's a teenager, if he sort of interacts, he sees my work online, on telly or something, then if he's aggrieved, if he's pissed off, I've been talking about him this whole time, I can just say, no, you had an older brother who died. So you've got to appreciate the elegance of the system. Sweet little guy, and he is every inch the Bristolian child. There is not a stitch of clothing on him that isn't a rainbow sequin. And if he grows up to be heterosexual, it's going to break his poor mother's heart. I'm telling you that now. I will still love him. But he has, weirdly, he's very empathic, right? He's very sensitive. And he has this swimming teacher, right? A very muscular Spanish guy called Jose, with a beard, very broad, muscle-bound guy. And my son insists on misgendering Jose. I say to him, how was swimming? He's like, yeah, it was a good one. She was good. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's a he. And he goes, no, he's a she. And he gets really angry with me. So one of two things is going on, both of them equally brilliant. Either, in 2021, today's 5-year-olds just recognise innately that gender is a construct, it's all meaningless, and it doesn't matter at all. Or my son can smell true gender. Like one of those cancer dogs, do you know what I mean? If he lies down in front of you, you've got to ask yourself some pretty penetrating questions. I say to him, I'm pretty sure Jose's a dude. He's like, well, maybe now, but she's got a long journey ahead of her. Okay? I told him I'd get him a treat, right? So I was at the supermarket and I promised I'd bring a little something back for him. And you do need to be careful about the cultural artifacts you put into your kids' heads. So, like, he loves the Mr. Men. Him and his sister, they love the Mr. Men. I don't know if you've revisited the Mr. Men stories recently, but my God, the male Mr. Men, the male ones, they're all called names based on physical prowess and dynamism. They drive the story forward. They're all called Mr. Noisy, Mr. Strong, Mr. Rush, even Bump and Tickle. There's something going on. Do you know what I mean? Not necessarily something very savoury, but they have agency. Whereas the lady Mr. Men, the little miss, the little misses, they're all called these incredibly diminutive, patronising names. They're all called Little Miss Bossy, Little Miss Splendid, Little Miss Passive and Fat. And I don't know why we put up with it. It's astonishing. So you've got to be careful about the decisions you make. And I'm standing in the supermarket. I'm standing in Big Tesco. Other sizes of Tesco are available. And on one side of the magazine rack, there is a copy of Lego Batman, right? It's Lego Batman. On the other side, there's My Little Pony magazine. Now, I want him to want this, but I know that he wants this, right? I'm fine with that. It's just that I want him to be into Batman, because I was into Batman as a kid. I still quite like Batman. And I just want him, for some reason, I want him to grow up like I did, like Batman, vengeful and furious and alone for some reason. I don't know. But it's like my inner landscape. I think like a lot of men, the inner landscape of my life is like, I'm Batman. Every problem in my life is like a crisis only I can solve. I must never ask for help, and I must get a special car. Right? That's the inner landscape. Whereas his inner landscape is the world of My Little Pony. So everything in his imagination, his view of the world is this sort of lurid, candy floss, hyper-sexualized in a way that he can't really comprehend. Like a kind of quivering bubblegum fuck horse. And so... like, the characters in my world, the Batman world, they've got names like Harvey Dent, you know, the Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, all of that stuff. The characters in his mind have got names like Princess Celestia, Twilight Sparkle, Twinkle Pips, Cloud Gush, Glitteris. You know, obviously I'm making some of them up, but not all of them. And so I panicked and I made the wrong decision. I got him the Batman comic and I took it home and he was crestfallen but polite. And I was like, oh, sorry, and I got the wrong thing. Until he looked through and he said, oh, no, this is great, Daddy, look, there's a Lego Batgirl comic strip. And I was like, wow, he loves Batgirl. So I said, why don't we play Lego Batgirl? And he was like, yeah, great. And I said, okay, fantastic. You be Batgirl, I'll be Batman. Right, I pointed at you then. You be Batgirl. You're up for it. Well into it. You be Batgirl, I'll be Batman. And he went, no, Danny, I'll be Batgirl, you be Wonder Woman, and you have to call me Sis. Okay? Cool. I'm down with that. Sure. So I said, okay, Sis. I think there's a giant robot attacking the city. It must be something to do with Lex Luthor. Let's do a team up. And he says, no, Sis, it's our day off. We're just going to relax. So we did. We built a sofa fort with the cushions. And I said, this is the Batcave. And he said, no, it was a salon. And he let me have Bat Salon. So it was all the more strange then when we had to start doing discipline, right? Because eventually, of course, his baby sister turned up and this sweet, lovely little boy started having incredibly powerful, rage-filled meltdowns, right? Of course he did. He'd been used to being the main guy in the house. Suddenly he had to share power. And it turns out when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Who knew? Oh, a bunch of smug people knew. Oh, well done, well done. So we had to start doing the naughty step. Now, if you're over the age of 30, you'll probably remember the naughty step from Super Nanny in the 90s. If you're under 30, you might just remember the naughty step, I don't know. And the way it works is simple. You explain to the child, I'm going to count to 3. If this behaviour doesn't change, by the time I get to 3, they've got to sit on the naughty step for a while. Do you know you're not supposed to call it the naughty step anymore? Right, 2021, you're not supposed to call it that. Do you know what we're supposed to call it? We're supposed to call it the thinking step. Because we don't wish to imprint upon the child the concept that they are a naughty child. The behaviour is naughty, the child themselves is not naughty. That's the thinking step. Not in our household. We understand that you have to win the psychological victory early doors. So in our household, it's called the huge disappointment to me and your mother... Hatch. That's what we call it. And I'd explained the system the previous week. He was having a meltdown, so I said, listen, Buster, I'm going to do counting. If you don't change this behaviour, I'm going to do counting like we talked about. And his face changed. His face darkened, his brow furrowed. He said, don't you do counting. Bloody hell, Batman. I said, I'm going to do counting. He said, don't you do counting. I said, here I go. I said, 1. He looked at me very coolly. He said, 2. I didn't know what the hell to do. There was nothing in the training material about what to do when your child takes themselves hostage. I'll do it, old man. Try me. What he's done is he's artificially escalated the jeopardy, hasn't he? He's left me nowhere to go. I can't say 3 now, and I feel like he knows that. I didn't know he could count. So now, without ceding any authority, I've got to de-escalate. I've got to sort of take the air out of the situation, but still... I've not had my bluff called this hard since his sister was conceived. So... I said 1, he said 2. I rather weakly said 2.5. He fixed me with his eye contact. He said 3.5. And then the two of us locked eyes. We both sat down together. I lit 2 cigarettes. And we just carried on counting. Eventually, of course, he ran out of numbers. I'm calling that a win. That's fine. I'm just not used to dealing with that sort of anger. I mean, obviously now I've got kids, Christ. Probably the hardest thing is negotiating with a child using every ounce of creativity and guile and cunning and a song to try and convince them to do something that you personally could not give a shit about, right? Something you have no personal stake in whatsoever. So you're there going, just put your shoes on. Just put your shoes on. We're going to leave the house. Come on, put your shoes on. We can all go. I've got my shoes on. Mummy's got her shoes on. Your baby sister's got her shoes on. Doesn't need shoes. Can't walk. Put your shoes on. Just put your shoes on. Please put your... Okay, seriously, man to man, put your shoes on. Just put your shoes on. Let's sing the shoe song. Shoes are good. Everyone thinks that you should put your shoes on. Put your shoes on. Fine. Do you know what? Walk outside, lacerate your feet to ribbons on the broken glass that I've left there specifically to teach you a lesson. Because you have stolen from me even the luxury of suicide. That was too much. I'm sorry. I didn't... Yeah, he's upset for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm trying to explain this. Like, trying to explain what it's like being a parent to someone who doesn't have children is like trying to explain being on acid to someone who's never taken it. Like, no, but it's like trying to explain your dreams or your hopes. No one cares, right? And what's the point? But before I became a parent, I had no relationship with anger. I don't get angry with people. I get angry when a system is broken or stupid or doesn't make sense. That's what pisses me off. And I don't direct it at anyone. You know, like when you're on a plane and the plane would land, and then 10 minutes before they open the doors, everyone else on the plane stands up and just stands there putting their bags on and banging each other in the face like this. And you're just sat there in your seat, quite justifiably thinking, pack of twats! Just perfectly reasonable common or garden anger. You know, or if you're in the bank, there's 3 desks, 2 of them are open, a customer at each, 3 people in the queue in front of you, you're thinking, right, this will take no time at all, this will be fine. And you find yourself sort of hanging around going, well, come on, no movement up ahead, a few more people join the queue. You're starting to rumble, going, oh, God, come on, this can't be how you're supposed to do. No, it's fine. And then a third cashier turns up, you're thinking, thank goodness. They whisper something to the second one. Turns out what they've whispered is, it's getting busy, isn't it? Do you fancy a vape? And then they leave. One desk, 30 people now in the queue. And what saves me is that I'm so volatile, I just flip. I'm so emotional that all it takes, I've got all this energy, oh, for God's sake. And all it takes is one person in the queue in front of me to actually have an audible meltdown, and I do an emotional 180. I'm there going, for God's sake. All it takes, one person to go, oh, for God's sake. Suddenly I flip. I'm like, hey, baby, relax. It's just the... it's just the bank, man. It's just money. I mean, what is money? What are the guys behind the desks, man? They're us. They're us, aren't they? They're the same guys. We're the people. We're all the people. We're all made out of stars. What even is time? It's just a shared illusion. Don't normally do this under coloured fairy lights. It's kind of... Sure, baby, I'll leave the premises. Yeah, cool, man. They say when you become a parent, you recognise that you are no longer the picture, but the frame. That's a weird concept. You're not the picture anymore, you're the frame. Do you get what I mean by that? It's like you're no longer the star of the movie of your life. You're not even the camera crew. You're just catering. That's it. And I've got these 2 friends. I'm not showing off, at least 2. And I've known them 20 years. They're a married couple. They're both about 5 years older than me. And as long as I've known them, I've been secretly sort of not quite copying their life, but I've been noticing the challenges they go through 5 years ahead of when I might and trying to glean information from them. You know, they're like the canary in the coal mine, the dog in the space shuttle, they're the mouse on the unapproved antidepressants, right? I'm following them. What happens? You do that? You don't? Okay, fine. I realised very recently, my friend Tom, he's 5 years younger than me, and he's been doing the same thing to me and my life the whole time, right? They're ahead of me on the timeline. He's behind. He's copying me. There are people 5 years younger than him copying him. They're doing it to people 5 years older than them. And all of us are just clinging grimly to this rope, like Shackleton through the Antarctic, howling advice to one another across the frozen tundra. What happens next? You're not gonna like it! And you're not gonna like it, are you? Because the people right at the end of the rope, they're just looking out over a crevasse. There's very little point in persevering. What's that? Something about persevering. Righto, we'll keep on persevering. And it's pointless trying to give each other advice because today's advice is meaningless tomorrow because the terrain shifts so fast. You're there in the middle thinking, what are you going to do for money when you get too old to work? That's easy. That's when the pension kicks in, right? Shit. Did you guys get a pension? We don't need one. We've got Bitcoin. Okay. Let me know how that works out. It's insane. It's like the advice we got given the first time we were pregnant. Yeah, we. Get over yourselves. People hate that. We were pregnant. Yeah, we got pregnant again because as it happens, apparently we couldn't keep it in my pants. The advice we got given the first time was very simple. It was always the same. Go and enjoy yourself. Go to the cinema. Go for meals out. Have fun while you can. The advice we're shouting down the line to Tom, 5 years younger than me, thinking about starting a family, the advice now is very different. The advice now is just, get money. That's the advice. Get money, and if you can, high ground. Because the one thing I was really unprepared for was the fact that I was going to become a breadwinner. For some reason, I hadn't given that any thought. I'm a breadwinner. I have to win bread. Very few places offer bread as a prize. Apparently, I've got to win it. The younger people in the room might be thinking, well, just buy the bread. You can't buy the bread, you idiots. You buy the bread, you take it back to the nest. They're like, they know. You did buy this, right? Did you buy it? You buy it. It tastes bought. No, I won it. Won it fair and square. Was it casino, was it? No, funny story. Bumped into a duck on the way home. Correctly guessed his secret name. Any other breadwinners in? Any breadwinners? No one. Just a bunch of you, bunch of bread losers. Great. But everything's now, people talk about the gig economy. It's so weird. My job is, I'm so free, right? Comedy, stand-up comedy is the ultimate 0 hours contract, right? If I want, I'm so free, I'm free as a bird. If I want to stop working, ever, I can just die. Oh, it's extraordinary. I don't want to paint my wife as some sort of grasping, bread-hungry churl. No, far from it. We get on. She's great. We have very different leadership styles, me and my wife. We're both natural leaders. I think that's quite unusual for a couple. We're two leaders. Most couples, a lot of couples, I think, is one leader, one follower. And if you're in a couple now and you're thinking, I wonder which one I am, I've got some bad news. Some couples, presumably, 2 followers, but we don't hear much from them because they don't get out. But a few couples, I think, a small percentage of couples, 2 leaders. Now, I don't like to ask at shows, are there any couples in where it's 2 leaders? Because one time at a gig, at the back of the room, a little voice went, yep. And then there was a pause, and another voice went, no, you're not. And it was... you don't want to do harm, you know. So, but I think me and my wife is true. We're 2 leaders. We've got different leadership styles. So I'm more like a loose maverick MacGyver. You know, I'm like a kind of rolling, adaptable kind of a leader, whereas my wife actually gets things done. So it's... We have to separate, we have to divvy up the labour. You know, I'm in charge of mowing the lawn, packing the car, lifting things. And my wife is the architect of all of our futures. Don't look at me like that. I'm good at packing. I pull my weight. I'm so good at packing. It's my dream one day to be going through a supermarket checkout, and when the lady says, do you need any help packing? By the end of the sentence, she realises she's in a bag for life. I just moonwalk. I climb up on the conveyor belt and pretend to moonwalk out, just slowly like that. That would be the plan. The reason I'm giving you this insight into my marital dynamic is to explain why, at the age of 44, my wife is currently trying to organise a grown-up play date for me to go on with another man in order that I make a friend. I want to be absolutely clear about this. I'm not lonely, But I moved to Bristol, I moved to a foreign city at the same time as I became a dad. So I don't get the chance to meet other dads, right? They all socialise during the evening and work during the day. I have to socialise during the day because I work in the evening because of you. And so I don't get to see them. It's just not fair. My wife can walk up to any other mum and go, hey, we should get a coffee, should we be friends? Suddenly they're friends. Doesn't work like that for men, does it? Not the system at all. No, the system for male friendships is you've got the kids you knew at school, minus one who died, and that's it. And that's how it's always been. That's how it's supposed to be. So we met this guy. We met this one guy. Ollie was his name. We met him at at a toddler rave. That's a thing. 3 hours of banging techno on a Sunday afternoon. Load of haggard parents at the side of a church hall. 100 kids with their tops off, ripped to the tits on fruity pouches. I remember this one specifically because it was, there's always a costume theme, and this particular one was superheroes, right? And there was one particularly attractive younger mum had come dressed as Catwoman, and all of the other mums were like, oh, fuck off. It was just great. We met Ollie, our kid was playing with his kid, and then eventually we chatted for 5 minutes, and then his kid ran off, Ollie followed him, and that was that. And then ever since then, my wife has been stalking him on Instagram in order to pimp him to me as a potential friend. Right? So I'll be washing up, and she'll sidle up to him and be like, have you seen Ollie's into martial arts and board games? And you like board games and talking about martial arts? And suddenly it's put me in the position, I'm like a kid on my first day at nursery going, I don't want to go, like that. Because I don't know how to package myself as a potential friend for a grown man. I just don't know how to do it. I've written and then deleted an introductory text to him, God knows how many times. Hello, mate. Hey, friendo. Ew, who am I? Who am I? I don't even talk with the friends in my life that I love. My mate, my best mate, Noel, right? We've known each other since we were 11. We've travelled the world together. I love the bones of him, right? And I will see him for a cheeky pint once in a blue moon. It's a running joke in our household. I'll come home and my wife will go, how's Noel? And I literally won't understand the question. How is he? How is he? How is Noel? He is simply Noel. Immutable, unchanging. He reminds me of me, I remind him of him. That's why we hang out with each other. I can tell you what he thought of the movie The Suicide Squad. Is that what you mean? Is that how he is? And then she'll say something weird like, but hasn't his mum been ill? I don't know. How do you know that? Stop asking my friends questions, you weirdo. Because we don't speak with each other, we just talk at each other. We sit and conversationally groom one another like a pair of orangutans on a log in Borneo, picking fleas out of each other's fleece. Did you like the film? Yeah, yes, I did like it. You were like me. Yes, I am. Yeah. Did you enjoy Black Mirror the other day? Yes, I didn't like it to begin with, but then I did like it by the end. Yes, I'm the same, yeah. And tell me, are you playing that the Red Dead Redemption game on the PlayStation? No, I've had to stop playing that. It's a little bit too immersive. Yes, I'm the same. Talked about this at a show in Bristol. A stranger tweeted me the following day, Stu, hey, really enjoyed the stuff about the grown-up play days. Just so you know, my friend Clive lives in Bristol, and he's free during... That's not what this is! This is not some sort of pathetic, platonic pickup line. I'm not coming out here going, hello, men. I am very lonely and I wish to play Settlers of Catan. It's not that. What happens when you approach 40 is that all of your friends start running a marathon. And I can't be bothered with that. Even for charity, I can't be asked. My rule is, if you want me to sponsor you to run a marathon, I will pay you my money to run a marathon, provided you look like you cannot possibly complete a marathon. I think that's fair. If you look like you'll breeze it, you get nothing from me. Dead by mile 5, £3.50. That's my thing. My friend Josh said he wanted to do a skydive, right? He was really interested in doing a parachute jump. He'd always gone on about it. And he said, finally, I'm going to do it. And I went, good for you. And he said, but can you give me some sponsorship money, right? I'm doing it for charity. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. You're not doing it for charity. You're doing it for Josh, right? Because you want to do it. You're doing it for you. He said, no, 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 it's for charity. I said, well, in that case, let's try a little thought experiment, shall we? See if you can follow me through this. How about I offer you double the donation not to do it? And he said, that's not really in the spirit of the thing. Okay, fine, you go ahead. You go ahead. As long as you realise that now I've made you that offer and you've declined, you're now doing a skydive against cancer research. Which is particularly appalling given what happened to your brother, if I may say. Me and my wife are having a conversation about the making of our wills. That's what you've got to do. You get set up as a family, you have a couple of kids, you've got to get life insurance, you've got to talk about your wills. And during that conversation, I made the alarming discovery that if everything goes according to plan, I die first. Like, that's the plan. That's the best case scenario. Of course it is. It's the best case scenario, like kind of financially, ethically, effort-wise. You know, like, I don't want her to die first. We need her. Kids, Christ, no, you know. So it's me. It's old Papa Bear in the ground, all done and dusted, right? That's the plan. It's astonishing, isn't it? I'm 44, as you can tell from my trainers. 44 years old. Halfway through my life, if I'm lucky. Halfway in terms of years. In terms of experiences, Christ, I reckon I've done 90% of the shit I could be bothered with. But that's, it's so strange to think halfway through. I think there comes a time in everyone's life when you have to accept that you're unlikely ever to zorb. And I just think I'm there. But you're not supposed to mention it, are you? It's considered the height of rudeness to bring up the concept of mortality. Like, you're all out having a nice time. I don't want to remind you that you will one day definitely die. Soz. You know, but it just pops into your head at random times. You'll be around the house doing up your shoelaces, because you're a grown-up, you're putting your shoes on to leave the house. You're doing your show. Suddenly it'll hit you like a shovel in the features, right? Oh, God, I too will one day die. Barely worth finishing. No, press on. And then you're just expected to get on with your day. And then later on, someone asks you, how are you? How am I? Oh, you know, dead one day, but today, dry feet. And when you're a kid, you look at people much older, don't you? Silver tops. You know, you look at people in their 70s and 80s and you think, they must know. Surely they must realise they don't have that long left. How are they cool with it? And you get a bit older and you go, oh, they're not cool with it. What can you do? Legacy is important. That's what you can do as a parent. You have legacy. You can just invent stuff out of thin air and tell your child, oh, this is how we've always done it in this family. Just make it up. I say to him, our surname's Goldsmith, I say, a goldsmith always pays his debts. We absolutely don't. There's no evidence to support that. I'll consider it a personal victory if I manage to die in debt, as he will no doubt discover eventually. I say to him, a goldsmith never monopolises the conversation. The one you have to drill in, this is critical. I say to him, a goldsmith always ensures that his own parents receive only the most luxurious end-of-life care. You've got to nail that one in. I think that's what we owe our parents, is a quick death, right? Isn't it? That's the minimum. Come on. We're all of an age, surely we're all of an age now, where we've seen an elderly relative kind of kept alive by medical science far beyond their enjoyment of their life. So presumably now, like I have, you've all had that chat with your own parents, like, I'll take care of you, and then, when the time comes, I'll take care of you. Right? You've had that conversation. I mean, I say conversation, it's nothing we've actually said out loud, but they get it. It's implied, you know, that when the time comes, which I'll decide, And I'll do it clean as well. I'll do it clean. That's the kindest way, you know, middle of the 90th birthday. Happy birthday, bang, clean. And it'll be me that does it as well. My sister, I've got an older sister, but she's got her own issues. She's made that clear. I've got a younger brother, but he's not as strategically minded. You know, he'd be a good trigger man, but it's Muggins here who's got to plan the caper. And it'll be hard as well. It'll be difficult. My folks separated 25 years ago. My dad now lives in Spain. I know where. I've got his address written down. But have you seen a Spanish address? It's completely incomprehensible. He's very physically fit. He's quite agile. One-on-one, it'd be hard to take him down. Plus, he reads a lot of Tom Clancy, so he's probably booby-trapped the villa. Whereas my mum, frankly, is a sitting duck. I mean, she still lives in my hometown. I know all the potential hiding places, all the territory. Every fortnight I get an email from her that's basically an updated list of all of her current vulnerabilities. Too easy. Plus, she loves me, so she doesn't think I'll really do it. No, there'll be no sport in that at all. My friend Danny had some bad news recently, and this is awful, right? He was diagnosed with an incurable blood disease, and he was given 20 years to live. Just think about that for a couple of seconds. 20 years to live. What the hell is he supposed to do with that information? Oh, God, thanks a lot, Doc. I'm glad you told me. I better get my skates on if I'm going to do 2 unrelated medical degrees and then become a deep-sea diver from scratch. What's he supposed to do with that? 20 years to live? If that was you, forgive me, if I was your doctor, I wouldn't have bloody told you. I'd have been like, oh, good news, clean bill of health. Go and enjoy yourself. Take some risks. Come back and see me in 19 and a half years, okay? He's 50. Danny's 50. Did I mention that? He's already 50. Plus 20, 70. That's an innings. I congratulated him. 70, guarantee. He was very patient. He was like, it's not a guarantee. I'm not death-proof. I can be killed. Not killed. But 20, God, I'd almost rather have a week. Someone told you told me I had a week to live. If you told me I had a week to live, I'd have some questions. Who are you? How did you come by this information? What are you doing in my submarine? But once we dealt with all of that, then, you know, you wouldn't have time for the whole bucket list, would you? But you could control the dismount. You could do that last week properly, get out as you mean to. You know, everyone's got a plan. I know mine. Sell all my stuff, buy a rowing boat. It only just occurred to me, I don't know the value of a rowing boat. All of the stuff may have been... Plus, I've got a wife and family. It's too late, I've sold it. Sell the stuff, buy a rowing boat, row out to the middle of a beautiful lake, take a shitload of heroin, watch the sun go down. That's the plan, right? Jack up, check out. Just remembered I'm taping this in Glasgow. Is that insensitive? I didn't mean anything by it. I want to be absolutely clear. I'm not promoting or condoning heroin use. I just think in the Venn diagram of things that you should probably only do once and things that are apparently absolutely brilliant, right? Right in the middle of that, heroin. Heroin and driving a double-decker bus under a low bridge. Come on. The 176 to Penge, bollocks to Penge. Head down, foot down, under the bridge we go. All of the top deck dead, fuck 'em. But if it was 20 years, obviously I'd be waking up the next morning thinking, God, I feel dreadful. I suppose I'd better row back to shore. Try and sell the boat. I wonder if I could use some of the money from the sale of the boat to buy a tiny little bit more heroin. If I ever took one piece of advice from my mum that I really took to heart, she always said to me, just do your best. Just try, right? And then even if you don't achieve your dreams, at least at the end of your life, you can say, I tried.
And I've always taken that to heart. I've always turned up, done the work. But it only occurred to me very recently, who am I imagining saying that to at the end of my life? I tried. I tried. Who's on the other end of that? The Grim Reaper? St. Peter? A nursing home care worker who doesn't know my name? I tried. Good, well, you can try your soup. Or am I saying it to the Distractatron, which is an android I've invented, which is to combat dementia. It's a cross between chat roulette and bop it. And it heralds the end of Western civilization. Give me a cheer if you're ambitious. Not all of you, was it? Okay, easier question. Give me a cheer if you are pretending to be ambitious. Ah, yes, you. Very good. Tell me, what do you do for a living?
I'm a lecturer.
You're a lecturer? Christ, we're fucked. That's it. You're a lecturer. In what subject?
Nursing.
In what?
Nurses.
Nurses? Well, this has taken a dark turn. Here's my question. Are you pretending to be ambitious to yourself or to the people around you? To them. Okay, and what is the highest thing that you could achieve in your industry if you were as ambitious as you're claiming to be to the people around you? Like PhD? Like same shit, more money? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate your honesty. In a moment or two, I'm going to refer to you as a loser, but it's nothing personal. Okay? Here's the thing. Here's my relationship with ambition, right? In stand-up comedy, that's what this is. In stand-up comedy, it is absolutely full of incredibly ambitious people. And when I started, about 15, 16 years ago, I started at the same time as a group of incredibly driven, ambitious, hard-working, talented young comics, okay? Now, they are all famous millionaires. And good luck to them, right? There's no luck involved. They were brilliant, they worked for it, played for, and got. And whilst I didn't see them so much anymore, we appeared on the same bills less and less often, I would see less of them, and yeah, maybe I was a little bit intimidated by their success. I ended up falling in with a newer generation of comics, a different crowd, younger guys and girls, kind of oddball, political, pretty boy acts, people who'd never amount to anything. Now, they're all famous millionaires. Here's my question. Is it me? Is there something about my presence that makes other people think, bloody hell, I'd better knuckle down? And if there is, can that quality be monetized, perhaps from home? Because I love the work. I love this. I love you. I love the job. I just can't cope with the envy, the stress, the yearning, the striving, the desperation. Right? I love the work. I'd always do the work. But I'm 44, halfway through my life. Couldn't I just uncouple the striving and the envy and all of that shit? I could jettison that, slip the clutch, and just coast like this loser. I feel like I'm just in the middle of the road, kneeling in the middle of the road, cradling the fox of my ambition, recently mown down by the truck of time, effort, and parenthood, which, to be fair, I was driving. And I steered directly towards this poor little fox, smashed him down. I jumped out, I've scooped him up in my arms, kneeling in the road, and I'm looking down at him, and his body's all smashed up, spit and dribble coming out of his mouth, his eyes all wonky like that. He's looking up at me. You promised. Shh. I said a lot of things. And I'm trying to decide right now in real time, do I expend enormous personal effort on coaxing him back to life, or just brick him? I'm fine. I know it's better to travel hopefully than to arrive. I know that. I've been to insert rival town here. I know it's the travelling hopefully, but does the travelling hopefully have to go on forever? Does the striving have to go on forever? I've got a squirrel in my loft. My wife's loft. There's a squirrel in there, 6:20 every morning. I hear it scuttling up this little slopey bit of the loft that you can't get into, and then it scuttles up, and then it goes across this sort of flat bit that you can get into. You can open this little hatch about 6 inches, and you can just peep in, and you can see it's all full of squirrel shit. He's nibbled through the wires, and the lighting in wires and everything. And every morning, 6:20, I hear him. Shoo, shoo. The time it takes it to achieve that bit of the journey is gradually decreasing. He's getting better. Either that or the squirrel community are gradually sending their best people. Tufty, walk it off. Nutkin, you're up. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't get into the bit of the loft to seal it up, and you can't get to the outside of that bit of the building. You physically can't get there to prevent the squirrel getting access, right? So all I can do, 2 choices, all I can do is either smash a hole in my ceiling and paint it and plaster it, get in there, seal it up, repaint, replaster, all the rest of that, or absolutely nothing. Guess which one I'm doing? I'm lying there at 6:20 every morning listening to a rodent embody a metaphor about self-improvement while all the lights in my house go out one by one. I ate far too much pain au chocolat. Like a terrifying amount of pain au chocolat. I mean, you can't tell because I've got a good metabolism, but my heart is made out of butter. I eat too much pain au chocolat, and I eat it. So the reason is, I eat it because it's often the only fresh bit of food you can find at a service station. And I eat most of my meals at service stations because of you. And what I don't go to the night pay window. I don't know if you're a city dweller, you might not know about this, but often in the countryside, they've got the garages, the service stations will have a night pay window for security, and I can't be doing with that. If I get out of the car and the bloke in the thing waves me to the window, I just get back in the car and drive off. And I realise why. I would rather be not trusted, I would rather be followed around the shop by a security guard with a shotgun pressed against the base of my spine than have to peep in through a letterbox and ask a grown man to get me a pastry. Can you get me the chocolate? No, that's almond. I don't like almonds. Can you get the little chocky one? Yeah, not the chocolate croissant. No, the pain au chocolat. Yeah, chocolat. Yes, the pain au chocolate. Yes, it looks like a little crab with no leg. That's it. Could you just poke it in the tummy with the tongs? I just want the softest one. I know they're the same batch. Often one of them's squashier than the other. No, I don't understand it either. Just give it a little poke it. Do the second one again. Do the first one again. Yeah, really, I don't want that now. You've ruined it. Do that. Sometimes you'll get 2 pain au chocolat in a box for fractionally more than the cost of 1 pain au chocolat, right? I don't understand that at all. It annoys me, if anything. What I'm saying is I'm not buying 2 for myself. I'm taking advantage of an unbeatable offer. And what I do is I get the box and I go back and I sit in the car and I've got the box on the seat there. It'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning on the way back from a show. And I'll take one out and I'll eat it immediately. And then I'll look at the second one in that box and I think, no. That cannot stay here. Future Stew. My name's Stu. Future Stew cannot be trusted to have that in the car with him. Right, we've danced this dance before. So I get up and I put it in the boot of the car, and I get out of the car, put it in the boot, come back round, sit in the car, feeling pretty happy with myself, and off I drive. About 5 or 6 minutes later, I start thinking, who the hell does previous Stew think he is? Just who in God's name does history Stew, Deja Stew, who does he think I am? Does he think I'm some sort of idiot? Does he think I don't know? Does he think I've forgot? What does he think I'm not prepared to pull over into a lay-by not 5 minutes past the garage? And what, does he think just because it's raining outside?
Does he think I'm not prepared to burrow into the boot of my car through the back seat? Does he think I don't know about the fold-down chair? There's the 2-1 and the 1-1. I just need the 1-1. And does he think I'm not prepared to tunnel in there with my legs across the back seat of the car like a clothed prawn as I snuggle down in my little croissant burrow? And what does he think? Does he think I'm not prepared to sit there nibbling away, nuzzling away at that second little pan au chocolat as the rain beats down on the roof of the car, drowning out my sobs? Does he think I'm not prepared to do that? Pan au contraire. How I choose to live my life is none of my business. When we're alone, we become our truest self, right? For sure. Like we're all aware of each other's perception of us. We know that we're out and about, so we're all pretending to be normal, right? You don't need to admit it now. I know it's hard to admit it, but all of you sat there going, I'm normal, don't worry about me. I'm just a normal person. Yes, I'm just out and about in polite society, in company. Hello. Certainly never touched that. Never, wouldn't dream of it. No. I'm just normal. I'm just one of us. I'm normal. I'm not some sort of wanking, screaming, shitting monkey that's managed to put on some shoes, forget about death, and leave the house. That's not me at all. I belong. And so when you're on your own, you let go of all of that. If you're out with your friends, bye guys, great belonging. Okay, bye. Click. Oh God, take your trousers around your ankles and just slouch around the house. Turn a tap on for no reason. Sorry, Greta. Open the fridge. Use a slice of processed ham as a sort of rudimentary glove to scoop up some coleslaw. And the phone rings. Oh, hi, hello. Yeah, just normal stuff, just like anyone, you know. What sort of thing? Putting keys on a fob, you know. Doing my tax. Okay, bye. Click. And if you meet someone in a kind of romantic context, right? If you meet someone on like a first date, their perception of you is enormous and yours of them. Right? So you find yourself there in a restaurant or in a bar, go, hello there, we are mutual friends of Simon. We have both been ratified by a third party, also normal. We will begin the courtship ritual. Tell me, what box sets do you enjoy? Tell me, what box sets? Buffy. Same. But by the time you've been together for 10 years, all of that has gone out of the window. The pair of you just sat together on the sofa. Do you want to bang? Or watch Buffy season 6 again? I love you. No, you don't, but thanks for saying so. I honestly couldn't give a toss about the sex. No, fair enough. Coleslaw? But my son is so much a part of me. He's so much of me and from me that I don't regard him as an outside eye at all. When I'm with him, it's like I'm more myself when I'm with him than with anyone else. I shit in front of him. Not as a punishment, you know. Well, Master Goldsmith, the naughty step was unsuccessful. We shall have to try the naughty stool. Don't look away. He's upset for some reason, yeah. No. I just, when I'm with him, I'll say to him, I'm going to go for a poo. Do you want to come and hang out? He'll be like, yeah, all right. I don't defecate in front of my wife, the very idea. But with him, he's a part of me. It's like a happy version of being alone. It's wonderful. It's just lovely. And he does this thing whenever grown-up friends of ours come round. He always wants to have private time with them, right? So our friend Ed came round, and my son said, Ed, we need to do some very important work, and marched him off into the playroom. Let you into a little secret. The playroom, it's just the living room, it's got toys in it. So in they go. 2 minutes later, Ed shouts to me from the other, Stu, can you come in here? And I go in, he's bollock naked. My son. Starkers. And Ed is pressed so far into the corner of the room that he's climbed it backwards like Spider-Man. Right? Ed says, you have to be here. This is absolutely fine, but you have to be here. I'm a white man in his 30s. I've worked for the BBC. Statistically, I am a predator. Please stay in the room. And my son says, Ed, I'm going for a poo. You're coming with me. Marches off. I wish I could be like that. I live in a sort of terrified future. My son lives in a blissful present, and I just wish I could join him there. I wish I could be in that moment with him, free of context and consequence, bollock naked before the universe. Wouldn't that be wonderful? There's very little I can tell you about what it's like to be a parent unless you are one, but if I could give you the distillate experience, it would be this. We were having a kitchen rave, okay? So this is one of those moments when you just let go of everything and just enjoy yourself. My wife's dancing there, my son's dancing over there, I've got the baby in my arms, and we're just rocking out. We're having an incredible time. We're listening to my godson. He's given us a Spotify playlist. He's cool as anything. He does parkour. I don't know if you're familiar with parkour. It's like French jumping, basically. It's so cool. The jumping is so French. Bon anniversaire. Like that. It's just... Je m'appelle Stuart. Like that. It's great. It's cool when you see it on TV and movies on YouTube and stuff. When you see it in the high street near you, it's just three lads who look somehow too awkward for Games Workshop. Jumping off a bin and doing their ankle. Oh, désolé. So I asked my godson, I said, what music do you listen to when you're training parkour, you cool bastard? And he said he likes chill hip-hop. And I said, oh yeah, what kind of artists? And what he said next shocked me to my core. I said, what artists? And he said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? He said, well, I just put it on Spotify, put a playlist on, chill hip-hop. You don't know the bands you like. That's the death of culture, isn't it? What kind of books do you read? Oh, I like Helvetica mostly. What sort of foods do you enjoy? I like mostly soft textures. We're playing the music, we're playing the tunes, we're having a whale of a time, we're all bouncing around, we've forgotten the future, we've forgotten the past, we're in the present, we did it, we're in the moment, and my son is so caught up in that moment, with no malice in his heart, with nothing but love in his heart. He rushes over to me, he clasps both arms and one leg around my thigh, and sinks his teeth into the fleshy part of my thigh, drawing blood immediately. Christ, it hurt. And let's not forget, I have personally given birth to 2 children, right? This hurt. He just, with no malice, he was just like, this is brilliant. He bites down. God, it hurts so much. And obviously the instinct is just hoof through the window. Take the baby and like, get off me. No, you can't do that. Can't do that, I've been briefed. So you have to protect them, and this is what it's like being a parent. I had to protect her, I had to protect him. He bit me hard enough that I bled. And that anger, that pain, that energy had to go somewhere. It went up as a shout, down as a stamp. He bit me, I went, no, no! He burst into tears because he was scared. And I had to apologize to him. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks so much.